to satsang. Namaste. My name is Brian, and I love to hold these gatherings, even for my own sadhana. Sadhana means spiritual practice. Even if no one comes, or one person comes, I sit, hold the gathering, and just connect into the energy, and I feel blessed. No one has to join me. Everyone's spiritual path is unique, and what they resonate with, what they connect with. That's why there's so many spiritual teachers. I don't have a particular religion that I follow. My religion, you could say, is just following my own heart and what I resonate with. And then if some people want to hold my hand and follow and join me, then they can. However, I would say that my path is very mystical in the sense of the teachings that come through are very specifically energetic. That is a crucial point to all of this. Even when I'm speaking, it's a matter of tuning in and connecting to the energy underlying the talk. Because you can listen to many inspirational talks and read many inspirational books, but it may not be that you really change on a deep fundamental level. In other words, you could fill yourself with the information of all the spiritual books, but if you're not connecting into a true living presence, then all of that information is dry. I would not have gotten onto the spiritual path if I had not had a direct experience inside, a real shift in my own being. That is what propelled me to not only follow the mystical path, but share it with others. So today, the most important thing that you could receive is an experience. Call it a change inside your being, where you feel, again, fundamentally different, no longer the same person. Mystical means mysterious. So we don't know really how it works. It works in very strange ways. It's almost like there's a plan for us, and we don't really know, quote unquote, God's plan. We're just trying our best to follow what we feel is right. And we seem to be guided in a particular direction. And the mystical has to do with what I call grace in Sanskrit. The word is kripa, grace. Where it's like the fairy godmother taps you on the head and you turn into a pumpkin or whatever it is. Right? That's grace. Where something happens all at once. You're swept away in the energy and nothing is ever the same. That's the grace. That can come in once in a while, but your responsibility is to invite the grace to come. You don't know when the grace is going to hit you, like lightning. You don't know when it's going to hit you. But if you keep your house clean, then grace is more likely to strike. Keep your house clean. What does that mean? You clear out your negativity. You make room for the light to arise inside you. And in a moment, I'll give you a good example. I went to a spiritual retreat with Swami Purna, I think it was in Pennsylvania. And I was just sitting there and listening at the retreat, and suddenly there was like an explosion in my heart. I mean, I don't even know what word to even describe it. But I was looking at each one of the people that were kind of getting blessings from Swami Purna, one by one. And each person, it was like suddenly the judgments that I was feeling about them were melting away. And I could feel this on a deep level. And I was crying. It was so beautiful. I realized, like, why do I want to hate anyone? I just want to love everyone. This is like, and I had no idea that I had these judgments or that they were so powerful until they started to fall away and my heart began to open. And it was and the reason why I was crying is because I was so moved. How did I deserve this? That my heart could feel so fulfilled and happy. Especially if you've never felt like the profundity of love. And then it hits you all at once. It's like, how could I even prepare myself for experiencing a love that's so soft, tender, sweet, and deep? It was better than any material gift that I could get or have ever gotten. So, my suggestion to you is that the greatest gifts in life are not the material things that you get. They are the inner shifts and changes inside you that bring you, in one sense, into such a state of humility and gratitude and love and appreciation where you don't even know what to think anymore. You're just so blessed. That's the gift of Father's Day. It's not all the material gifts that you got from people. It's here. That's why remember we chanted in the beginning or sometime during the service, Om Mani Padme Hum. Behold the jewel in the lotus. This is the lotus. This heart chakra is represented a lotus flower. That is your treasure. This is why Christ, St. Francis, and many other saints, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all shall be given unto you. Meaning, once you tap into this joy and love here, your whole life is going to be beautiful. Whether you're poor, you're rich, you have kids, you have no kids, you have family, you have no family, you have house, you have no house. It does not matter. You are just a living embodiment of love and joy all the time. It's like you dove into the stream of bliss and you're just flowing down the river. And you're not even trying, you're just floating, you know? I described that before, the leaf that just flows down the river, and the leaf's not clinging to the side of the river and going, help me, help me, help me, I'm drowning. The leaf has let go. And just enjoying the love as it is. And then Spontaneously from that state of being comes loving actions, comes loving deeds, comes loving words, comes loving thoughts. Spontaneously out of that energy. That's why I say, start out with a beautiful, energetic connection, and a lot of your words and deeds and thoughts will fall in line with that energy. People oftentimes forget the energetic part. They think, oh, if I just do good deeds, then I'm going to change. To some degree, you will, but tuning into these types of gatherings, it will be easier to do good deeds naturally because you're in the flow of energy of love, as opposed to, oh, it looks like I need to do a good deed today. How shall I do that to get some good karma? Right? It could be a very sort of logical way of approaching the path, rather than just spontaneously reaching out and holding that person or whatever you want to do, because it's just what your heart does. It's just who you are as a being. That's why energy is so important. That's why the mystical path is so amazing. So the gathering tonight is about awakening the heart chakra, the heart space. You know, I pretty much explained it all right there in a nutshell, what to do. You start out with a pure energetic connection, and you can find it, you can recognize it. When you're in the presence of someone who's beaming love energetically, they don't have to say anything to you. You just know. You feel the love. They don't have to do anything, say anything. It's just, they're like a sun. And you just bask in the sun. You know that. Now, if you're really, really caught up in your thoughts, in your worries about the world, you may not notice the person right in front of you is someone who's shining something on you that's beautiful. You may not know because you're distracted. So then part of it isn't just connecting to the love and presence of such a being, but it's also like, okay, well, clearly when I'm around such a being, I may not be receiving the full transmission or the full energy because my mind and heart are still distracted by issues and problems of life. I can't be here totally present. How can I be here totally present? Well, I mentioned it in the talk today. It's like, okay, well then have I got negativity? And I write down the negativity in my book, my release book, whatever you want to call it. And then with every word that I read, let's say distractedness, heaviness, boredom, whatever it is, each word I write, I'm releasing it out of the pen. Let it be gone. Let it be dissolved. So I work on purifying myself so that when I'm in the presence of a saint, then I can feel the power and that love so much more clearly. That's why inner work, inner self-reflection is so important. You could be in the presence of a being all the time and go, oh, this is all great, but you also require your daily life to work on yourself on a daily basis and even reflect as you look back in the day. Okay, well, where was I really on track and doing well and very positive, and you really are grateful for those times. And then those points where you felt like you were feeling heavy and irritated and annoyed, you say, okay, well, how can I improve next time? Not that, oh, I'm a bad person, I shouldn't have acted that way, because guilt is not going to help you. Guilt's piling on top of the negative thing. It's like one more thing on the mountain of karma that you have to deal with. Everyone makes mistakes. It's more not about the mistake, it's about just recognizing, oh, I did this, how can I improve next time? No, it's not, what did I do and I need to feel guilty for the rest of my life because I did this thing. By the way, that has been my own sort of big issue for a long time. I did this long ago and I won't forgive myself. My mind, my heart will not forgive myself for doing that thing. So it haunts me for years, this thing that I did. And so it comes to the point of, you know what? Today, I'm a different person. Back then, I was how I was. I was maybe ignorant or reactive, or I was caught in my emotions or whatever. That's fine. I was like that back then, and now today, I'm genuinely wanting to work on myself, improve myself, and I'm going to do that. So there's no need to dwell on the past and the old things that I did. I'm a new person. I'm dedicated to healing myself to become better day by day by day. And then I begin, perhaps, me particularly, how can I love myself? Because it's difficult to give love to others if I don't love myself. If I'm angry and hateful at the things that I've done in the past, then how am I going to share love with anyone else? So then I start to contemplate the good things that I've done in my life and appreciate those things. I've been very resistant toward acknowledging anyone when they give me a compliment. It's been challenging for me. So really to respond back to the person and say, you know what, I really appreciate what you're saying. Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words, your feedback. Beginning with that, maybe acknowledging the person who gives me the compliment. That's a sign of self-love. Because I'm actually receiving the compliment. The person's trying to say something nice. I receive your love. And then I look at, and again, that's the other journal, besides the releasing journal, it's the journal of sort of self-love and gratitude of like, you know what? Today I'm very happy that I did this, as an example. Just to give you an example from my own case today. A lady told me about the man who was sleeping right out here at the church. I guess I'm assuming he must have been homeless. And she said to me, do you think it's okay if we give him some food? Because, there's some food in the back for lunch. And I said, certainly. And I said, here, I'll go check to see if he's there, and if he is, I'll go get him. I'll go get him some and bring some for him. So I went up there and I went up to him and I said, he happened to be there still, and I said, are you hungry? Would you like me to get you some food? And he says, yes. So I go and quickly get the food and I bring it out to him, and he thanks me and he goes on his way. He waited before he left. And so I could say, you know what? I'm just glad that I even had that thought of helping out someone. I'm so happy that I could help someone. And I would like to help out more people that way. I would like to be more mindful of what your needs are so I can recognize how to serve you in a loving way. That is, like, if I do something sweet, then it encourages me to keep looking out for that. So many opportunities to help someone. And then reflect back later on and say, how did I feel when I did that? What a great way to grow your heart, you know? So then I might wake up in the morning and my first statement to myself is, how can I serve? How can I help even one person And, maybe I'm not thinking that all the time, the entire day, but at least to begin my day with a feeling of giving and generosity. How can I be there for people? How can I really listen when someone is speaking to me? These seem like little things, but being mindful of these little things, that's how you create love. Being mindful and present in the moment. Those loving moments are key things that will touch your heart. Your heart doesn't get touched when you're distracted by something in the past or the future. You're just lost in your mind. Your heart is when you are so present right now with this person that you feel them, you get them, you're there with them, communing with them. What a lovely experience. I've had the opportunity many times because I drive a lot. I drive people around. And I'm with them for those few minutes during the day. I may be the only one in their life where I get this 5 free minutes with them. I get to have the pleasure of being in their company, me and you, for those few minutes. Maybe they're rushing around the entire day from meeting to meeting and distracted, but here, we're present with each other. And we can have a very deep conversation within a matter of a few minutes. Or connection. So the presence is so important for creating love. That's how you become aware of how to serve. Otherwise, you miss it. You miss the opportunity if it comes along. Oh, I'm busy and I've got things to think about. You miss those moments of love and joy and amazement. Some people call it mindfulness, presence, whatever your word is. But you need to practice it with someone. You'd be surprised at how excited a person will be if you give them your full attention. Like one of your kids, as an example. Maybe normally at the dinner table, you're eating at the same time as you're talking to the child or something, and you're kind of distracted. And then one day you just turn to the child and you say, I really want to know about your day. Tell me, what was your highlight? Tell me, what was your challenge? And you're with them. Even when I'm in talks, so to speak, quote unquote, talking, I can be present with people even if it's sort of briefly, one by one. Do you know what I mean? Where I'm there with you and I'm connecting to you. It could be just for a few moments, but a lot of times people will appreciate that too, even if it's just for a few seconds. So one's whole day could be simply mindfulness and presence. And it's an amazing life. Because then, remember I said it at the talk, it's like that's when you really become aware of the beauty and awe of life itself. And ultimately you become so present, then you feel yourself everywhere. You are kind of connected and one with the entire universe. Everything is me. I don't feel myself to be here anymore. I feel so expanded. My heart is everywhere, and everywhere is my heart. Now that's divine love. Divine love is a whole different level of being. It's not just one-on-one sort of emotional love. Divine love is, there's a sort of sweet presence that exists as life itself. Not I'm loving you, but I am love. This is what, when I lead meditations, that's what I'm trying to guide people into. A whole different realm of love. Because emotional love comes and goes. One minute I love you, the next minute I don't like you. Depending on my emotional roller coaster, on my mood, really. That's one form of love, is the emotional love. But here, we're trying to invoke the presence of love. Far different. And in that presence, the emotions then become in alignment. And then your heart is singing, your emotions are singing. Just so delighted to be alive. Nothing needs to happen. I don't need to win any case or break a record or win this person's approval. None of that matters. You're just so content and fulfilled as you are. Nothing in the outside world need change to be that. So let's invoke the presence of love here through the mantra Anandam Premanandam. So it's Anandam Premanandam. And Anandam means bliss. Prem means divine love. So as we chant it aloud, we're invoking that vibration, that presence in the room itself, physically, in the walls, in the cells of the body, as well as purifying the mind and emotions to bring them into alignment with divine love. And so we'll sing it together. ocean of love. Consider, do you know how beautiful you are? You have 7 major chakras or energy centers along your spine. Each one is an aspect of your own mind, your consciousness. And each one is a galaxy. It's like a galaxy of stars. So sophisticated, so huge. Each one of these energy centers, trillions and trillions of different kinds of energies stored in that chakra. You have a galaxy, several of them, inside you. Your body itself is made of the substance of stars, like star dust, from all over the universe. And how did it all come together into a body to appear like this? How did that even happen? The fact that the heart itself continues to beat constantly without even thinking about it is in itself a living miracle. You don't have to do anything about it. It will continue on. It doesn't seem to get tired. There was a beautiful quote, I don't remember exactly how it went, but by Rabindranath Tagore, a really famous poet from India. And he said, you know what, I'm in awe of myself, of the power of God that runs through me. That when I lay my body down to sleep at night, the cells are dancing through the night and the blood leaps in the veins. As I'm sleeping, all of this activity going on, all guided by the sound of the harp string of the great master that runs everything. When you say the great master, that endless, infinite power that is in charge of every single aspect of this living being. How can I not bow to that? You know, when I'm bowing to myself, I'm bowing to that extraordinary power that I cannot possibly conceive how it could run all the universe at the same time, every single being, to make it alive. So this is sort of a great piece of machinery that the divine has somehow created for our enjoyment. And I'll tell you something even more amazing. Then God blindfolds itself and makes itself forget that it's God, and it just believes it's a human. How miraculous that the divine itself becomes blind to its own self, just so it can play this incredible game. What kind of power is that? So again, I bow to whatever that power is that has blinded itself. And here we spend a whole life trying to wake ourselves out of the dream that we created. Wake up out of the sort of karmic programs that we ourselves have chosen to create. All the sort of previous, let's say, hundreds of thousands of lifetimes where we built all of these structures in the mind to believe that this is what life is, and this is what I am, and this is what God is, and this is what the universe is. We created that for ourselves over eons. And now it's become so solidified that it actually seems real. Tell me, is that not extraordinary? That we could do that. So then in this lifetime, if you choose, you can unfold all of that karma, all of those issues, bit by bit, try to heal yourself. Kind of like peeling an onion, right? You're like peeling the onion away, and at the very center, ultimately, there's nothing left. At the very center, there's just space. Similarly, we seem to be encased in all the costumes, and we have to sort of unravel or take off each costume one by one, whatever the costume is: anger, sadness, despair, body consciousness, intellectual consciousness, even bliss consciousness. So many different ways of thinking that we just let go and shed one after the other, after every single day, peeling away the onion until one day, boom, spaciousness, pure consciousness. Who am I? And then you are wonder itself. You wonder how even existence arises, let alone you arise. You don't know who you are, what you are, where you come from. You are a living conundrum. Some people ask, well, why did this all happen? Why did God decide to make up this whole game to play with us somehow, torture us? Like, why? Why not? If the infinite power is infinite, then there's infinite possibilities. Why question why? Did you realize that the mind is always asking why about everything? Why did this person do that? Why did it happen that way? Why do we always have to ask why? It really disturbs the mind a lot because we're thinking about why the entire day. Versus being. Do you see the difference? One mind spends the entire day trying to figure things out. Another mind is in stillness and in wonder and in awe at how could I even be here? Huge difference. One is lost in the mind, the other is conscious, aware, bliss. So, you can see where I'm getting at here. When we peel away the layers of all the costumes that we have put on ourselves, when we touch or penetrate to the very core, to that lotus, which is the essence, the silence of the heart in the very core, when you touch into that, you are gone. You are gone. You as an ego, as an identity, as a person, as a label, you are gone. Now you're just being. That's why they call it human being. It's like there's the human, which has all the costumes, and then there's the being. That space, that lotus, is a doorway into infinity. And it is what some people call the soul. We are trying to penetrate into the very soul to find that space, which we already are, but we seem to be caught in that dream. Just as when you go to sleep at night and you dream inside your mind the whole dream, you believe it's real. You do. You react to all the things that are happening into that dream. That's real for you, just as it is right now. This seems real to you. But again, what if you are actually in a dream right now? And that it is what you call God's dream, a character in the dream. And everyone believes that this is who they are and interacting as if this is my identity and this is who I am. Because very few people, at least on this planet, have discovered the soul. And you'll probably notice that even when there are gatherings in which there's a searching for the soul, there's a trying to penetrate into the inner sanctum, that inner being. You say, well, I've got to go to lunch or dinner. I've got an appointment. You can have lunch and dinner every day. But when you have a true satsang, where the presence is vibrant and alive and the power is really catalyzing an awakening, that is a great opportunity, a very special gift. I realized that years ago when I attended my first satsang. I realized that this is the most important thing of my life. This is going to help me break out of my mind's illusion. I know this. I'm positive about this. And then I became obsessed about it. And, that's a good obsession, though. Because I'm dissolving in that. I, as the Brian, the character that I've made up in this dream, this consciousness, that character is dissolving. Bit by bit, it's being unlayered. So I'm searching, going deeper. And it may be difficult because I have to face my fears and my anger and resentments and all the sort of hatred, everything. Everything comes to the surface. And that's hard for me. The guilt, I talked about the guilt. But I always remember the worthiness of the cause, which is, somewhere at the end, I've heard by great saints that there's freedom. And they clearly, those saints I've met, like true genuine saints, are so deeply at peace and so loving. I say to myself, I believe them. I have faith. There is quote-unquote light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to continue every day taking a step forward towards my own heart. So the soul in Sanskrit, does anyone remember the word in Sanskrit? It's Atma. Atma, A-T-M-A, Atma. It's a very important word in the Vedic tradition as a definition of the soul. It's pretty much means pure being. And the idea is, as you purify yourself and you start to touch into your pure being, you realize that I'm not just a little soul that's pure being in my own little soul bubble. But I am Param Atman. Param Atman means, call it the great God, the great being. I am everywhere and everything. I am all souls. I am all of creation. I am all time. I am all space. I am everywhere. I am that. So one goes from Atma to Param Atma. That's the whole Vedic kind of philosophy. In other words, your little bubble of identification as an individual entity pops. See, when you see a soap bubble, Does the air in the soap bubble say, this is my space, this is me? Similar, a body, and there's consciousness, right? And the consciousness suddenly says, this is my space, my bubble. Same idea, but when you pop the soap bubble, the air merges with the air. But it's already air. They're already the same. It's just the soap bubble seems to separate it. So we're metaphorically trying to pop the soap bubble to realize I am that, which is endless, infinite, whole, and complete. So the mantra to awaken the soul is Anandam, Atmanandam. So since you already know the tune, there should be a great chorus going on. So Anandam, Atmanandam. That's the mantra. So we just sing that one together. And so we have had an intention that the flowers behind me that have been presented to Swami Purna, they be blessed, energized. So it just occurred to me that it would be nice after gathering that each person, if they like, would take a flower with them and keep the flower, the petals, by their altar. And also the flower being a symbol of your own heart and your devotion to the truth. Because, when you look at a flower, it's beautiful and it can remind you of love. And that's why they use the lotus flower as symbolizing the heart. Flowers were given by courtesy of Tim. Didn't know exactly what they were going to be used for until now. And it's interesting, in the path of spirituality in the Vedic tradition, there are considered as sort of three major paths. One is the path of Gyan, one is the path of, let's say, Gyan yoga, then Karma yoga, and then Bhakti yoga. Those are outlined in ancient Indian times, or in India. And the Karma yoga path is, you can imagine, doing good things, kind actions. That's you're accumulating good karma by doing good. That's karma yoga. Serving the divine purpose of being in harmony with the universe. The universe wants to be in harmony with itself, and each person is like a cell in the body of God. We all want to kind of work together to keep this body beautiful and alive, this huge body called the cosmic body. That's karma yoga. So some people, that's all they love to do. That's all they do is serve. That's their path. That's the karma yogi. And then another path is the Gyan path. Gyan means knowledge. It means using your intellect to pierce through the illusion of the world. Meaning, questioning the sort of reality that the mind has created inside you. Questioning, is this really true, what the mind is telling me this whole universe is? Because remember, everything that you see and experience, there's a layer over all of it, which is mind, which says this is how I interpret what this is. Does that make sense? Everything, even whether it's a chair or the floor or the microphone, there's a layer that the mind says this is microphone. So it's not just pure beingness, it's microphone, because our mind interprets it that way. So the Gyan path is the Gyani, or the person who uses his or her intellect to say, everything that my mind is presenting to me may not be the actual reality. Maybe actually everything is one. Maybe my mind isn't understanding this, so I'm questioning my mind. That's a Gyani path. That's an intellect. Person who's like really intellectual oftentimes does well with that path, on the path of spirituality, because it starts to dissolve the concepts of the mind, inside the mind. And as the concepts, all the ideas about life, God, and the universe are dissolved, then you start to go into meditation and feel everything more as the same. That's the Gyan path. And then the third one is Bhakti path, which is the path of love, path of devotion. Christians often follow this path. They've found a being, Christ, Jesus, as a representative of truth, an embodiment of truth itself, a great guru. We'll call it a guru, a great spiritual teacher. Christ was a guru. So people worship Christ and pour their love and devotion. Thank you, Christ, for being such an extraordinary example of love. And people just cry because they're so grateful to have such a, we'll call it a savior, who came onto earth to show people the way and the truth. This is devotion, bhakti. And imagine, every day you keep focusing on Christ. What do you become? What you focus on is what you become. What you think about is what you become. So a person who is devoted to Christ, who thinks about Christ and the love of Christ all day long, they start to feel that, experience that, become that. So it is said that devotion gives you wings. And you don't have to be devoted to a necessary person. It could be, a lot of people are devoted to the Course in Miracles, which is, we'll call it something that came through Christ, right? But you could be devoted to the book itself, right? Maybe you don't even necessarily relate too much to Christ directly, but the book itself being just this amazing, profound, divine book of wisdom. And so every day you're thinking about the Course in Miracles, and so your mind and your emotions start to meld with the principles in that book. And you become like that. You're devoted to that book and the principles behind it. So devotion doesn't necessarily have to be to a particular person or being, but anything that represents divine to you. You worship that thing. And worship just simply means focus on. Focus on. That's what you're dedicated to. Whatever represents truth to you, whatever you think about the most during your life, you're worshiping that. So if it's money, and you think about money all the time, or worry about money all the time, or so excited, I got to get more money, then you become money. You become money conscious. That's where your consciousness flows into whatever you focus on. That is very, very important to understand. Because then maybe you look more closely at your daily life and you see, where is my attention flowing towards? Is it flowing towards the divine, or is it flowing towards just general material consciousness? Because the more you focus on material consciousness, the more you start to feel yourself as material, and you're running away from the spiritual. The more you focus on your spiritual being, the more the spiritual being starts to come out, and you start to sort of transcend the different states of consciousness. You become wider, bigger. And the beauty of it is that, quote unquote, God gave us the choice about what direction we want to go. Do we want to go towards the highest states of love, joy, and peace, and those spiritual states of being? Or do we want to head towards greediness and anger and sadness and resentment and judgment and all that? And you can clearly see the state of the world. It's quite divided. Just turn on the news and you will see. And none of it is bad, because it's all the play of God. None of it is bad. It's free will. That's what I'm saying. The choice to go either direction is wonderful. You give each person an opportunity to take their choice, go the direction that they want. However, it doesn't mean that you can't be an example of the path that you feel is, let's say, uplifting for the world. So if you have a job, let's say it's an accountant as an example, You may think, oh, accountant's so dry and I can't, how can you affect the world that way? But you can. If you're an accountant, you be the most honest accountant you can with taxes. You don't try to cheat the government. Simply be as much in integrity as possible. Same with an attorney. Or whatever, There was a yogi who had a disciple, and the disciple was like very excited, says, I really want your guidance. God, you've got to give me the direct path to God. I'm ready to do anything. And the disciple said, and the yogi looked at him and said, this one maybe is not ready for the direct teachings. So I'm just going to give him something simple because this will be good for him. So he said to the disciple, okay, so for the next week, your task is simply to not lie. In other words, be honest with everything. Don't tell a lie. That's your only practice. And, the yogi knew that the disciple had a habit of lying. So if one has a sort of, we'll call it negative habit, a good way to touch into your heart is to simply say, okay, today I'm going to try to transform this habit. See what I mean? You take little baby steps. Today I'm not going to lie. Now that actually may be quite hard for someone, but a really, really good practice to do. One day. This is the quality I want to develop, honesty.
The soup's too salty.
What's that?
The soup's too salty.
It's too salty. Simple things like, and I was saying this, maybe once a day, just make it a point to do something kind for someone. Just once a day. And you may have to have a reminder on your wall or in your car or wherever your office is, do one thing kind today. Because your ego is probably going to forget that. That's not a priority. That is a priority. That's a priority for your soul. It's your soul's priority. I've said this before. You have physical pain that can be excruciating. You have emotional and mental pain can be extremely difficult. But the greatest pain is your own soul crying out for God. We'll call it God, whatever you want to call it, to be freed from the encasing of all the karma that's been piled on top of it. That is your greatest pain. How many people are crying out for God? Please help me. I want to find you. I want to find my own soul. I want to be free of this encasing that I've put myself in. Please help me. I want to know who you are. How many people are crying over that? Because if you are, then you know what's most important to you in your life. So I go back to look at what your priority is for your life. What are you actually focused on? Where does your mind go? What does it worry about all the time? And then bit by bit, try to shift it towards more thoughts of upliftment and divinity. Whether it's listening to spiritual music, listening to mantra music, listening to talks. These gatherings get recorded and then put onto YouTube so people can listen to remind themselves. Why go to church just on Sundays? Every single day, remind yourself. Because trust me, your mind needs reminding. It will easily slip into its old ways. I guarantee you it will. To change the habits of the mind is not an easy task. from my own experience, it has taken me years of shifting this personality and this way of thinking into something else, into more spiritually based. Years of just really deep contemplation and just trying to shift my habits. So as an example, I've made it for, a practice now for the next 2 weeks, only to check my Facebook once a day in the evening.
Torture.
Right? Right? Now, if you know, lately I've gotten kind of absorbed into Facebook, checking it more often than I would like. So now, for the next 2 weeks, I'm working on this, right? And actually, now that I'm kind of getting into the groove, it's actually not as hard as I thought. But at the beginning, I was thinking, what am I going to do? I'm going to have Facebook withdrawal. I'm starting to feel anxious. So maybe at the beginning, as I'm trying to change my habit, I'm having some anxiety. So one has to get over the initial hump of changing that habit. But once you get on a roll and you've changed that habit, you can keep flowing with it. And now you've developed a positive habit, especially if you can do it for, about 21 days or so, usually is the time when you can develop a really good habit. You can be consistent about it. But you have to be dedicated. You have to be devoted to your practice. You say, this practice of letting go of Facebook isn't just about letting go of an addiction. It's my promise to God. This is what my spiritual practice is. May seem silly, but think about all the time I've just freed up, where my mind can flow to other things that are more spiritually oriented. This is what I mean by using tiny things. You may think you don't have time to contemplate on these subjects, but you do. You have to just see what your normal daily habits are and shift those. It really does work. Okay. So let's do meditation, and then we'll conclude our gathering this afternoon. So this meditation is designed to balance the Ida and the Pingala. And the Ida is considered as your moon channel, and the Pingala is considered as your sun channel. Normally those channels are totally out of balance, so you're not in a very meditative state. When those energy channels become balanced, you become aware, focused, and meditative. So it becomes, it's an amazing experience. So this meditation will be specifically for balancing those two channels, to bring our awareness and energy into the center channel, which is called the Sushumna, she who devours time. When you are in the Sushumna, when your energy is in this center channel, then time disappears, space disappears, distance disappears. You are eternal. You're kind of outside, beyond this physical realm. That's the center channel. This is where meditators are trying to get their energy to focus on, is here. In fact, I should probably do a recording of this kind of meditation, put it on a CD. It would be helpful for some people. May be able to feel this one. So, let's close our eyes. And actually, even before you close your eyes, I want to show you how to do this breath. This pranayama or breath is also for balancing the Ida and Pingala. Is you take your right hand, you put down your forefinger and your middle finger, so you're just going to be using your thumb and your ring finger, like this. So put down your forefinger and middle finger. See how I'm holding it like this? And then I'm going to plug my right nostril with my thumb, and I'm just going to breathe in deeply through my left nostril. I hold the breath, I plug the left nostril with my ring finger and breathe out all the air out my right nostril. I inhale deeply through the right nostril. Then I plug the right nostril with my thumb and exhale all the air out the left. Inhale deeply through the left nostril. Plug the left nostril with my ring finger, exhale all the air out the right nostril. Inhale deeply through the right. Hold, plug the right with my thumb, exhale out the left. So let's keep doing this for about a minute or so, minute or two. Inhale through the left. Plug the left, exhale out the right. Inhale deeply through the right. Plug the right, exhale all the air out the left. Keep going. We'll end it by breathing out the left. And after that, we relax. And then let's visualize the full moon on the left side of our forehead. And then at the same time, visualize the full sun on the right side of the forehead. Again, imagining the full moon on the left side of the forehead, and the sun on the right side of the forehead. Imagining the full moon on the left side of the forehead and the sun on the right side. Visualize them as clearly as you can. Imagining the full moon on the left side of the forehead and the full sun on the right side. And let yourself just be absorbed in the energy, letting go of the vision. So